In this video, I'll show you how to find the maximum and minimum of a quadratic relationship. The question reads, the path of a ball is modeled by the equation y is equal to negative x squared plus 2x plus 3, where x is the horizontal distance in meters from a fence, y is the height in meters above the ground. What is the maximum height of the ball, and at what horizontal distance does it occur? Sketch a graph to represent the path of the ball. We have an equation that's in standard form, and if you have an equation that's in standard form, you really can't analyze it other than understanding that the a value here is negative, so it will be a sad face eventually, the parabola itself. The best thing to do if you have something that is in standard form is start off by finding the roots using the quadratic formula, or you can convert it into vertex form by completing the square, and then subsequently find out what the vertex is using that. I'm going to take that route. I'm going to complete the square and find out what the vertex is once I have the vertex form. So to complete the square, you will need to first factor out this -1 from the whole equation. So I'm factoring out a -1. This term becomes positive, this term becomes negative, and this term becomes negative. The next thing I'll do is figure out what my b term is, and that's my b term. You take your b term and you divide it by 2, and you always do this, and you end up with -1. It's a very important number to keep in mind, so make sure you write it down. And you'll take your -1 value and power it to 2, and you end up with +1. So we'll take this number next, and we will incorporate it into our formula. Here's how. Minus 2x. Now notice, I'm going to take this number and add it to my formula. Minus 3, and then I'm going to subtract this number to my formula. That way, the equation remains valid. The next thing I'll do is evaluate these two terms and bracket the first 3 terms. Let me show you what I mean. Y is equal to -1. I'm going to add square brackets just to differentiate the two. And I'll write this out. -3 minus 1 is -4. And remember when I told you that this number is very important? Well, if you factor this out, you will end up with this. You will end up with x minus 1 to the power of 2. And the -4 remains the way it is. This is not in vertex form yet, so let's make it into vertex form by multiplying this in, and we end up with negative x minus 1 squared plus 4. Now the reason why I put it in vertex form is because when you have an equation that's in vertex form, this number represents your h, that represents your k, and when it comes to translating this into the coordinates of the vertex, that is your x value, which is +1 because this is negative. Your x is always the opposite, and this remains the way it is. So your vertex will be at 1 and 4. 1 and 4 is positioned right there. So to answer our first question, what is the maximum height of the ball and at what horizontal distance? The maximum height will occur at 1 and 4, specifically 4 meters high, and at a horizontal distance of 1, originating at 0 and 0. The next thing that we have to do is sketch a graph that represents the path of the ball. Now, in order to sketch a graph of a parabola, you'll need to know the roots. And like I said earlier, you can find the roots using this formula by using the quadratic formula. Or you can also find out the roots by making this equation right here equal to 0. Because remember, the roots occur when the y is equal to 0. And let's do that. Let's set y is equal to 0 for this equation. And we end up with 0 is equal to negative bracket x minus 1 squared plus 4. We're going to solve for x now. We're going to bring this over. And we'll divide both sides by negative 1 to get rid of this. And we have looked at this extensively in previous videos, so make sure you check out our playlist. The next thing we'll do is square root both sides to get rid of that. And you end up with plus minus 2, x minus 1. We're going to bring this over. And by doing that, we end up with two possibilities, where we have plus 2 plus 1 and negative 2 plus 1. Let's document both. x1 will be 3, and x2 will be negative 1. Now, in case you're confused, 2 plus 1 is 3, and negative 2 plus 1 is equal to negative 1. So the coordinates of these x-intercepts will be 3 and 0, and negative 1 and 0. Let's see if that makes sense with our graph. 3 and 0 would lie right here, and negative 1 and 0 would lie right here. So we're assuming that it went up, hit its maximum point, and went downwards. Now, since they want us to sketch the graph, we don't necessarily need to find the y-intercept, although it would be very easy and helpful if we did. So let's do that. To find your y-intercept, you set your x, this time as 0. So we're going to replace all the x's with 0. And we end up with positive 3. So it's going to cross this point. It's going to reach its maximum at its vertex. And then it's going to make its way down. And so there you have it. That is how to find the maximum or minimum of a quadratic relationship. If you found this tutorial helpful, please support our channel by subscribing or by liking this video. If you have any further questions, you may visit our website at biology-forums.com. We are an online service for students seeking free homework help. See you soon.